Watching DD India News Hour, India's voice to the world. I'm Ramesh Ramachandran. Coming up in the next hour, India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi addresses the lower house of Parliament, says his government will come back to power with an even bigger mandate in 2024. The US warns of more strikes in Iraq and Syria against Houthi targets. UN Security Council likely to hold an emergency meeting. Shankar Mahadevan and Zakir Hussain win Best Global Music Album Award. Rakesh Chaurasia, Selva Ganesh Vinayakram and Ganesh Rajagopalan also win Grammys. PM Modi congratulates winners. And in cricket, India outplays England in the second test at Visakhapatnam to hand the visitors a 106-run defeat and level the series 1-1. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi invoked his 2024 election campaign slogan of Modi's Guarantee to promise that in his third term, the country will become the third largest economy in the world. In his reply to the motion of thanks to the President's address in the country's lower house of Parliament, that is the Lok Sabha, Prime Minister Modi said his government has fulfilled the promises it had made to the nation 5 years ago, from abrogation of Article 370 and passage of Women's Reservation Bill to legal reforms and construction of a new Ram temple at Ayodhya. Take a look at the next report.
India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Monday replied to the motion of thanks to the President's address in the country's lower house of Parliament, that is the Lok Sabha. Slamming the Congress party, the Prime Minister said that unlike the erstwhile government, the ruling BJP-led NDA government had achieved what it promised.
आज आपके सामने विश्वास से खड़े हैं, इस पवित्र सदन में खड़े हैं और मैं आपको विश्वास दिलाता हूं कि 30 साल हम नहीं लगने देंगे। ये मोदी की गारंटी है। मेरे तीसरे कार्यकाल में देश दुनिया की तीसरी आर्थिक शक्ति बन जाए।
Prime Minister Modi invoked his 2024 election campaign slogan of Modi's Guarantee to promise that in his third term, the country will become the third largest economy in the world.
आज 5 पर पहुंच गए और आपको क्या हो गया? कांग्रेस के लोगों ने नया मोटर मैकेनिक का काम सीखा है और इसलिए अलाइनमेंट क्या होता है उसका ज्ञान तो हो गया होगा, लेकिन मैं देख रहा हूं अलायंस का ही अलाइनमेंट बिगड़ गया।
The PM recounted his government's achievements in the last 5 years.
हम सब ने 370 खत्म होते हुए देखा। इन्हीं माननीय सांसदों के आंखों के सामने और उनके वोट की ताकत से 370 गया। भगवान राम न सिर्फ अपने घर लौटे बल्कि एक ऐसे मंदिर का निर्माण हुआ जो भारत की महान सांस्कृतिक परंपरा को नई ऊर्जा देता रहेगा।
He said that unlike the opposition that has lost the will to fight elections, the BJP will come back to power after the 2024 elections with an even bigger mandate.
देश का मिजाज एनडीए को तो 400 पार करवा ही के रहेगा, लेकिन भारतीय जनता पार्टी को 370 सीट अवश्य देगा। बीजेपी को 370 सीट और एनडीए को 400 पार।
The PM also spoke about the lawmakers and people alike as to what to expect from his third consecutive term in office. Prime Minister Modi used his address also to highlight his government's welfare measures that benefited the poor, women, youth as well as farmers. Bureau Report, DD India.
The Champai Soren government in the Indian state of Jharkhand wins trust vote in the legislature. 47 legislators voted in favour of the government while 29 opposed the motion. Ousted Chief Minister Hemant Soren was present during the vote. Rahul Upadhyay reports from New Delhi.
Chief Minister of Indian state of Jharkhand, Champai Soren, won the trust vote in the State Assembly on Monday. While 47 members of the Legislative Assembly voted in favour of the trust motion, 29 legislators opposed it in the 81-member Assembly. 77 MLAs were present in the Assembly during the voting. After Jharkhand Mukti Morcha leader and former Chief Minister Hemant Soren was arrested by Enforcement Directorate, Champai Soren took charge as the Chief Minister of Jharkhand. After winning, Champai Soren addressed the State Assembly.
हेमंत सोरेन का चंपा सोरेन का दूसरा पार्ट है। हम गौरव से कहेंगे हम पार्ट 2 है। जो यहाँ का शिक्षा, यहाँ का कृषि और यहाँ का जो स्थिति को भांप के जो संवर्जन पेंशन योजना शुरू किया, जिस गांव में एक डीसी डीडीसी अनुमंडल पदाधिकारी बीडीओ से नहीं पहुंचते थे, आपकी योजना आपके द्वार कार्यक्रम के एक परिवार का तकलीफ को जान के उनको आज संवर्जन योजना से जोड़ने का काम किया।
Hemant Soren also got permission from the court to attend the floor test. In his address, he denied the wrongdoing. The floor test in Jharkhand Assembly was held in the wake of dramatic developments in the tribal-dominated state, starting from former Chief Minister Hemant Soren's late-night resignation, followed by his arrest by Enforcement Directorate on January 21st. Hemant Soren is being investigated by Central Agency in a money laundering case. Soren's arrest came after he had skipped 8 of 10 Enforcement Directorate summons. Rahul Upadhyay's report for DD India.
India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi's visit to the northeastern state of Assam on Sunday has brought into sharp relief the efforts that his government has made over the last 10 years for development of the region. The Prime Minister laid the foundation stone for projects worth $1.3 billion. Over the last 10 years, the government has spent more than $60 billion on developing this much neglected part of the country.
India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi was in the northeastern state of Assam on Sunday. He laid the foundation stones of projects worth around $1.3 billion, focusing on boosting medical and sporting infrastructure, apart from world-class amenities for pilgrims to the much-revered Ma Kamakhya temple. The PM also addressed a gathering on the occasion and recounted how his government has worked for the development of the country's entire northeastern region over the last 10 years.
पिछले 10 वर्षों में हमारी सरकार ने यहाँ विकास पर होने वाले खर्च को 4 गुना बढ़ाया है.
Prime Minister Modi, his ministers and government have been fairly proactive in the endeavour to develop the northeast. The PM has visited the northeast over 60 times after taking office in 2014. The PM's northeast visits total more than those made by all his predecessors put together. Prime Minister Modi's northeast visits would have crossed the 100 mark had COVID not hit. Union ministers have also visited the northeast region 400 plus times since 2014. 1,350 projects worth nearly $1.9 billion have been centrally sanctioned for the region from 2014 to 2022. The centre's allocation for the northeastern region is estimated to reach around $60 billion by FY23 end. The rate of road construction in the region has more than doubled. The UPA government laid 0.6 kilometers of national highways per day. The Modi government laid 1.5 kilometers of national highways per day. The total length of national highways in the region was 8,480 kilometers till 2013-14. The total length of national highways in the region went up to 15,735 kilometers by 2022-23. The length of national highways in the region grew by 85.55% from 2013-14 to 2022-23. The central government has spent around $2.34 billion for new track development and doubling of existing rail lines in the region since 2014-15. The number of airports in the region was 9 till 2014. And the number of airports in the northeast has now increased to 17 under the Modi government. Key political decisions and administrative measures have also been taken to improve the development and investment climate in the region. Steps like the complete removal of the Armed Forces Special Protection Act or ASPA from Tripura and Meghalaya and almost total removal from Assam, Manipur, Nagaland and Arunachal Pradesh have been major contributors. December 2023's peace pact with the pro-talks faction of the Assamese separatist group ULFA is also a contributing factor. Gautam Roy, DD India.
The India Energy Week 2024 is expected to be a groundbreaking event, one that will cement India's commitment to shaping the future of energy. The country's Prime Minister Narendra Modi will kickstart the event on Tuesday. Tapas Bhattacharya reports from Goa.
Focusing on achieving energy self-reliance, India Energy Week 2024 emerges as the nation's largest comprehensive energy exhibition and conference. Aiming to catalyze India's energy transition, it will feature a roundtable with global oil and gas CEOs led by Prime Minister Narendra Modi. With 17 energy ministers, 35,000 plus attendees and 900 plus exhibitors, it hosts dedicated country pavilions and a Make in India pavilion emphasizing innovative solutions by Indian MSMEs in the energy sector.
I invite you to explore our transformative solutions, engage in insightful discussions, and witness firsthand how Indian Oil is leading the charge towards a more sustainable future.
Prime Minister Modi will inaugurate ONGC's Sea Survival Centre as well. Designed to train 10,000 to 15,000 individuals annually, the facility utilizes simulated harsh weather conditions to enhance trainees' sea survival skills, ultimately improving their ability to safely navigate real-life disasters. In just 2 years, India Energy Week has set itself apart, fueled by India's robust economic credentials and a thriving investment climate.
Delegates from more than 100 countries will converge at the India Energy Week, creating a truly global gathering. Policymakers, business leaders and stakeholders will unite to collaborate, explore opportunities and enhance partnership. With camera person Ajit, this is Tapas Bhattacharya for DD India from Goa.
Still to come on DD India News Hour. Biden sharpens attack on his main challenger Donald Trump as campaigning picks up pace. Israel vows to begin a ground offensive on the Hamas in the city of Rafah inside Gaza. And the OECD raises India's GDP growth forecast to 6.2% for financial year 2025.
That never stops, where information shapes our reality. One app stands out, helps you stay ahead of time. Introducing the DD India app, your gateway to a world of news right at your fingertips. Your most trusted source of news goes global, goes digital. Explore a world of options, top stories, live updates, in-depth analysis and more. Stay informed wherever you are. Real-time alerts keep you ahead of the curve always. The DD India app, connecting you to the world one story at a time. Download now and explore the world of knowledge, insights and authentic information.
Voice of a rising aspirational world. Stories of challenges, struggles and accomplishment. A world battling conflict, hunger and poverty. Embracing growth, development, science and technology. A voice of progress, a voice of unity. Watch Voice of the Global South with me, Akshay Dongre, only on DD India.
You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Ramesh Ramachandran. The Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, the OECD, in its latest interim economic outlook, has raised India's growth outlook for the financial year 24-25 to 6.2% from 6.1% estimated earlier in its November outlook. For financial year 26, OECD has kept its growth forecast for India unchanged at 6.5%. India's External Affairs Minister Subramaniam Jaishankar met his Swiss counterpart Ignazio Cassi at Hyderabad House in the capital, New Delhi. The two leaders discussed ways to further strengthen the bilateral ties after celebrations of the 75th year of the India-Switzerland Friendship Treaty last year. They also exchanged perspectives on regional and international issues, including the conflict in Ukraine. Switzerland's foreign minister gifted Mission to the Sun swatch to his Indian counterpart. India's External Affairs Minister Subramaniam Jaishankar on Monday held talks with Deputy Prime Minister of Fiji in New Delhi. They spoke about enhancing mutual partnership, fostering stronger people-to-people connections, promoting collaborative efforts in development, and reinforcing their commitment to multilateral cooperation. A parliamentary delegation from Suriname, led by the chairperson of the country's National Assembly, Marinus B., called on President of India Draupadi Murmu at Rashtrapati Bhavan in New Delhi on Monday. Welcoming the delegation, President Draupadi Murmu said parliamentary exchanges are important as they provide an opportunity for interaction between two democracies. Earlier on Monday, the delegation held talks with Lok Sabha Speaker Om Birla. The Speaker of the Lok Sabha, Om Birla, gave information about the House elections this year and called elections as India's democratic festival. Marinus B. expressed happiness on his visit to India and described India as a great democratic country. The U.S. presidential election drum roll is getting louder each day, with the Democratic and Republican primaries and caucuses being held to pick two main contenders for the office. President Joe Biden increased his attacks against his main challenger Donald Trump during his campaign in the state of Nevada on Sunday. Trump's lone Republican rival Nikki Haley got heckled in her home state of South Carolina before she targeted Trump and Biden over their age. Gautam Roy has more.
US President Joe Biden took his re-election pitch to Nevada voters on Sunday. It's part of a two-day stop in the 2024 battleground state ahead of Tuesday's Democratic primary. As the elections draw closer, Biden and his team are traveling the country to talk about the recession-defying economy. The American president has stepped up his direct attacks on Trump in recent weeks, describing him as a threat to democracy and questioning his mental capacity.
Donald Trump knows the economy we build is strong and getting stronger. He knows that while it's good for America, it's bad for him politically. Trump also said the one president he doesn't want to be like was Herbert Hoover. Donald, I got bad news for you, pal. It's too late. You're one of only two presidents in American history, you and Herbert Hoover, who left office with fewer jobs than when you took office. Herbert Hoover, yes. Donald Herbert Hoover Trump.
Trump's last standing Republican rival Nikki Haley got briefly interrupted by a heckler while she was on the campaigning stage at Charleston in her home state of South Carolina on Sunday. She recovered quickly and went on to attack both Trump and Biden about their advancing years.
Do we really want to be a country in disarray and a world on fire and have our two candidates be in their 80s? What are we doing? We need somebody that's going to be 8 years disciplined, focused, and ready for the job.
Trump chose to campaign through the airwaves with an interview to Fox News where he said he would impose more tariffs on China, with which he had triggered a trade war during his presidency. He said tariffs could be hiked up to 60% against China. We have to do it. Obviously I'm not looking to hurt China. I want to get along with China. I think it's great, but they've really taken advantage of our country. The issue of illegal immigration also took center stage in the American poll landscape on Sunday as Texas Governor Greg Abbott, joined by fellow Republican governors, vowed to defy the Biden administration and maintain state control of a U.S. border hotspot as long as it takes.
Because of the extraordinary dangers that the state of Texas is sustaining, as well as states across the country, and because Joe Biden has completely abdicated and abandoned his responsibility to enforce the laws of the United States, I have used a clause in the Constitution that empowers states to defend themselves. It's Article 1, Section 10, Clause 3 of the United States Constitution, where a state can defend itself and its citizens to protect their safety from the imminent danger that we are facing and from an invasion of millions of people coming from across the globe.
The Biden administration has maintained that border control falls strictly under federal jurisdiction. But Abbott deployed the Texas National Guard at Shelby Park in the border town of Eagle Pass, where he staged Sunday's news conference along with Republican governors from 13 other states, making for an evocative administrative and electoral standoff. Gautam Roy, DD India.
And shifting focus away from North America to West Asia now. Amid efforts for a lasting truce in the Israel-Hamas conflict, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's government in Israel has vowed to begin a ground offensive in the town of Rafah inside Gaza. For its part, the Hamas says it will not accept a ceasefire without an assurance of ending the conflict. This even as U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken is on a week-long visit to West Asia.
These are the visuals of family members of Israeli hostages and their supporters waiting for their loved ones. They are holding up signs with photos outside Tel Aviv's Defense Ministry building, where Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's cabinet was convening to discuss a possible hostage release deal with Hamas. They have no idea when will the hostage crisis end. Started with October 7 Hamas attack on Israel, the Middle East is now facing a multifaceted challenge. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken is headed to the West Asia in a bid to secure a new truce in the Israel-Hamas war. Blinken is expected to stay on a week-long visit to Saudi Arabia, Israel, Egypt and Qatar. During his 4-day visit, French Foreign Minister Stéphane Séjourné on Monday met Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu in Jerusalem and discussed the alternatives to United Nations Relief and Works Agency in the Gaza Strip and other issues.
First, I want to welcome you and to thank you for the stalwart support, consistent support that France took against the savagery from day one, your position on the ICJ, and this absurd accusation of genocide against Israel, and many other things. Also the effort to help with humanitarian medical assistance, and of course our cooperation on the question of Lebanon. So we have a lot to talk about.
Amid the ongoing Israeli operations in Gaza, the Israeli army released footage on Sunday showing video of raid on what it says is a Hamas compound in Gaza's Khan Yunis. Ravindra Chauhan's report for DD India.
The U.S. has said that it intends to carry out more strikes against Houthis in Iraq, Syria and Yemen, along with the UK after it bombed 121 targets in these countries since Friday. The attacks have been carried out to degrade the Houthis' capabilities to carry out drone and missile strikes against civilians in the Red Sea, disrupting global trade. Mir Maikuri has more.
Tensions in West Asia are soaring with each passing day after the United States led a major wave of retaliatory strikes against Tehran-aligned factions in Iraq, Syria and Yemen over the last 2 days. The strikes have prompted Yemen's Houthis to vow a response. Meanwhile, footage of launches from USS Gravely, USS Carney and USS Dwight D. Eisenhower supporting strikes on Iranian-backed Houthi targets was released on Sunday. And the US has now said it's still not done with the Houthis.
This was the beginning of our response. There will be more steps Some of those steps will be seen, some may not be seen, but there will be more action taken to respond to the tragic death of the 3 brave U.S. service members. And we cannot rule out that there will be further attacks from Iranian-backed militias in Iraq and Syria or from the Houthis. And I would just say, from the perspective of Tehran, if they chose to respond directly to the United States, they would be met with a swift and forceful response from us.
In the latest escalation, 6 Kurdish fighters were killed in an explosive drone attack by Iran-backed armed groups on a US base in Syria. On Sunday, Britain's Prime Minister Rishi Sunak said that strikes on Yemen's Houthis were in self-defense.
Well, since the last set of strikes, we've seen the Houthis continue to attack shipping in the Red Sea. That's obviously unacceptable. It's illegal. It puts innocent people's lives at risk and has economic consequences. Now, that includes attacks, by the way, on British-linked vessels, and that's why we've acted, again, in self-defense, in a proportionate way, and together with our allies. I've been clear that I won't hesitate to protect British lives, British interests, and our diplomatic efforts are focused on bringing de-escalation and stability back to the region.
The remarks followed US and the British retaliatory strikes on 36 Houthi targets in Yemen on Saturday and 85 targets in Iraq and Syria on Friday, which were in response to a deadly attack on American troops in Jordan a week ago. The Yemen strikes are the latest blows in a conflict that has widened in West Asia since October 7, when Hamas stormed Israel from the Gaza Strip, igniting the fighting. Mihir Maikuri's report for DD India.
An extraordinary parliamentary session convened by the Hungarian opposition on Monday to vote on Sweden's NATO bid saw the absence of lawmakers from the ruling Fidesz party, resulting in a lack of quorum and further delay in ratification. The US ambassador, along with counterparts from NATO allies such as Poland, Denmark and Slovakia, attended the session, exerting pressure on Budapest to endorse Sweden's NATO membership. US Ambassador David Pressman emphasized the urgency of Sweden's admission into NATO as a national security matter, urging Budapest to act promptly. President Nayib Bukele won El Salvador's election by claiming 80% of the preliminary vote. Bukele becomes the first Salvadoran president to be re-elected in almost a century. Bukele called the attention mainly after the success of his security strategy, which led the suspension of civil liberties to arrest more than 75,000 Salvadorans without charge. These detentions led to a sharp decline in nationwide murder rates and transformed a country of 6.3 million people that was once among the world's most dangerous. And now take a look at some more stories making news around the world. UK Prime Minister Rishi Sunak met with top Northern Ireland executive ministers, including Prime Minister Leo Varadkar and newly elected First Minister Michelle O'Neill on Monday in Belfast. The meeting follows the restoration of the devolved government of Ireland after a 2-year boycott of power sharing. However, a new deal with the British government to ease post-Brexit trade differences led to a breakthrough. Hundreds of protesters gathered outside Senegal's National Assembly after President Macky Sall announced the postponement of the country's presidential election. Outside Parliament, armored police fired tear gas at protesters and made arrests. The lawmakers will debate a bill in the Parliament that would reschedule the election for 25th of August. A former Pakistan Prime Minister Imran Khan's party has redefined election campaigning in Pakistan with its social media rallies and use of AI technology. Khan was jailed in the build-up to the campaign, while his Pakistan's Tehreek-e-Insaf party has been heavily restricted from campaigning for Thursday's vote and also banned from the television airwaves. And still to come on DD India News Hour. A discussion on Prime Minister Narendra Modi's reply to the motion of thanks to the President's address. Opposition lawmakers boycott Maldives President Mohamed Muizzu's maiden address. And India's Home Minister Amit Shah delivers an address on internal security.
We just don't bring you the news as it unfolds. We get to the heart of the matter.
We don't just present facts. We demystify complex social, political and economic events.
We break stories that shape the world's present and future because you deserve the truth.
I am Tanvi Taneja from New Delhi.
I'm Ollie Barrett from London.
I'm Nick Harper from Washington, D.C.
Join us on DD India Global Monday to Friday at these times.
Voice of a rising aspirational world. Stories of challenges, struggles and accomplishment. A world battling conflict, hunger and poverty. Embracing growth, development, science and technology. A voice of progress, a voice of unity. Watch Voice of the Global South with me, Akshay Dongre, only on DD India.
You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Ramesh Ramachandran. A quick recap of the headlines. Prime Minister Narendra Modi cites India's achievements, says his government will come back to power with an even bigger mandate in 2024. Tabla maestro Zakir Hussain becomes the first artist from India to win 3 Grammy Awards in a single night. Flautist Rakesh Chaurasia wins 2 Grammys. 3 other Indians, Shankar Mahadevan, Selva Ganesh, Vinayakram and Ganesh Rajagopalan, also win awards. And the US warns of more strikes in Iraq and Syria against Houthi targets. UN Security Council to hold an emergency meeting. All right, going back to the top story, India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi replies to the motion of thanks to the President's address in the country's lower house of parliament, that is the Lok Sabha, invokes his 2024 election campaign slogan of Modi's guarantee to promise that in his 3rd term, the country will become the 3rd largest economy in the world. All right, Mr. Prafulla Ketkar and Mr. Ashok Tandon join us. Mr. Ketkar is the editor of Organizer Weekly and Mr. Tandon is a veteran journalist. Gentlemen, welcome to DD India News Hour. May I get opening remarks from the two of you? If I can start with you, Mr. Tandon, first. What did you make of the Prime Minister's speech?
See, the Prime Minister's speech was perhaps one of his best speeches we have heard in the Parliament.
Why do you say that?
And coming as it does almost on the eve of the forthcoming general elections, it was full of punctuations. And first of all, I think the major takeaway was highlighting the achievements of his government of the last 10 years and then comparing the achievements vis-a-vis the 10 years of the UPA government. On each and every count, he compared the achievements and also gave a befitting reply to the criticism which the UPA alliance partners have been making against his government. But I think one very interesting feature of today's speech was he was critical mainly of the Congress party, because apparently he was trying to create a wedge between the emerging or the so-called emerging India alliance and the role of the Congress. And he said Congress is the principal victim why this alliance is not taking off. And he counted a number of instances where he was trying to prove that Congress is primarily responsible for this alliance not coming into being. And attacking the Congress was because the Congress leaders during the debate were mainly critical of the Prime Minister. And I think the achievements, I can go on and listing the achievements. But the question is that why was he not critical of any other political party by name? No political opposition party was named by the Prime Minister, because there are so many political parties which are also ruling in certain states and also trying to cobble together an alliance. So I think today's message to the opposition was very clear, that all the ills of this country over the last so many decades, including the 10 years of UPA regime, and even during the 10 years of the Modi government, it is the Congress which is responsible. And he, in fact, gave a chance to the Congress. He said they got 10 years to prove as a very formidable opposition, but they have even squandered that opportunity also.
Indeed.
And now they are trying to, in fact, spoil the emergence of an alternative to the Modi government, simply because they are all glued to one family. The family does not look beyond it, and therefore they are the main responsible force and political party for all the ills, even in the opposition. So I think that was a very phenomenal way of telling the opposition, why are you tagged on to a party which has no future, plus at the same time which is not looking beyond one family. And he said, maybe next time, because we are coming back to power in 100 days, but what will happen to the party to which you are trying to align? And he, in a very lighter way, said, well, that party may be sitting somewhere in the visitors' gallery.
Indeed,
so I think it was a very calculated move to create a wedge between the Congress and the other opposition parties, and putting all the blame on the Congress for whatever has happened in the country and even whatever is happening within the opposition today.
Right. Mr. Ketkar, coming to you now, what stood out for you in a Prime Minister's address?
See, I always feel that Prime Minister, keeps his best for the discussion in the Parliament, especially while answering on the President's message and a motion of thanks on it. Always he uses the performance of Congress governments and his government as a comparison. Most of the time he quotes ex-Prime Minister, especially Prime Minister Nehru and Mrs. Gandhi, to make his point. Thirdly, he puts across the achievements of the government, but the best part of all his speeches that we have seen while especially while talking on this particular occasion of motion of thanks, that he uses a lot of sarcasm, lot of political punches, and then sends across the messages very clearly, not just to the political party sitting on the other side of the Parliament, but also to the larger audience, the people. Most of the clips that you see in last 10 years have gone viral, are actually, in fact, the Parliament, his speeches in the Parliament, and especially speeches where either he is talking about around confidence motion or motion of thanks on President's address. So I see this as a very, an interesting way of where a parliamentarian Prime Minister, I believe communicates in 3 different layers. One, he is when communicating or dedicating certain projects to the nation. He is more in a Prime Minister as an administrator. Then he speaks in the political rallies. He speaks as political, purely as a politician. But when he speaks on these occasions in the Parliament, he generally is a fantastic parliamentarian. He comes with a lot of data, a lot of references, a lot of quotations, and then, put across his point. So that's why this address becomes very, very interesting.
Right, and I'm running out of time, so finally, one question to the both of you. The Prime Minister predicted at least 370 seats to the BJP in the 2024 election and more than 400 for the NDA. Do you want to make a prediction of your own? Starting with you, Mr. Tandon.
No, I think even that is the prediction of pollsters also. If I may say, even many of the opposition parties also. No, but one point I would like to emphasize is, see, when he said that we have given Bharat Ratna to Karpuri Thakur, then he, was unsparing in criticizing Congress party for not doing anything for the OBCs and backward sections and the deprived sections of the society. And he gave the example that even the all-powerful National Advisory Council, which was during the UPA regime, he did not name the chairperson of that committee. We all know who the person was. He said not a single OBC person was in that committee. And they said, when they look towards us and say that what the BJP government or the Modi government is doing about the OBC, he said, can't they see the biggest OBC standing in front of you? That Prime Minister Modi himself is an OBC. So I think it was a very high voltage political speech addressing directly to the opposition. That where are you today? Where do you stand? Do you stand any chance? When we come back to power in another 100 days, what will be your future? Indeed. So please look after your own future and do something rather than attacking me personally, throwing stones on me. And he said, I will use all these brickbats and stone for the very foundation of India, new India, which we are going to build in the next 25 years.
All right, Mr. Ketkar, you get the last word. The Prime Minister gave a sneak peek, as it were, into what his third term in office would look like when he said that he will take big decisions that will lay the foundation of India for the next millennium. I'm curious to know from you as to what those big decisions could be.
It's very, very difficult to predict, and Prime Minister, likes to be unpredictable. But what I feel is when he specifically mentioned that he spoke from the ramparts of the Red Fort on the 15th of August, the Independence Day speech, and again while doing the Pran Pratishtha of Ramlala at Ayodhya, that we are laying the foundation for next 1,000 years. Now here I feel the cultural resurgence and economic development. This seems to be, the two critical area where he is giving a new kind of idiom to the entire process of development. He is not seeing economic development in isolation. For him, the cultural resurgence and economic development has to go hand in hand. So India will progress in terms of, digital economy, but at the same time, India would take pride in its, thousands of year old history and the cultural heritage. I think that line he has taken and what he has been talking about next 25 years as the Amrit Kal, there I think he is going to, in next 5 years, he is going to define the targets for those next 25 years. And perhaps on corruption side also, I believe the indication that he gave, when he said, whoever has looted this country, they will have to give it back. There, I think, maybe a subtle message where perhaps on next war on, corruption that he is going to take forward.
All right, we'll leave it at that. May I thank both my guests, Mr. Ashok Tandon and Mr. Prafulla Ketkar, for joining us and sharing your thoughts and insights with our viewers at home and abroad. Thank you for your time. Much appreciated. And moving on, only 24 lawmakers in Maldives attended the maiden sitting of the country's legislature after national elections, where President Mohammad Muizzu delivered his first address. The main opposition parties, the Maldivian Democratic Party and the Democrats, boycotted the sitting. A total of 56 lawmakers boycotted the address. It included 13 from the Democrats and 44 from the MDP.
As the political turmoil deepens in Maldives, only 24 Maldivian members of parliament attended the ongoing sitting of the People's Majlis. A total of 56 MPs boycotted the opening sitting. This includes 13 MPs from the Democrats and 44 MPs from the MDP. The president, while delivering his address, said the main reason for the deficit and the increase in debt is the sharp increase in the government's expenditure relative to revenue.
I stand before you with courage, with confidence, in the face of great danger, a danger inflicted by the enormous public debt, a danger which threatens to prevent my government from meeting your terms. We are currently facing the highest level of public debt in our history. But I remain hopeful and confident of overcoming this enormous challenge. We will be taking bold, strong and swift actions to put the Maldivian economy back on track.
Mohammad Muizzu also said he has decided not to appoint more people to senior political positions given the country's current economic and financial situation.
I have decided not to appoint any more people to senior political positions except in exceptional circumstances in order to reduce government expenditure.
The opposition parties had previously criticized the current Maldives government for an apparent shift away from India in the nation's foreign policy and have decided to move an impeachment motion against the president. The second meeting of the India-Maldives high-level core group was held in New Delhi, during which both sides continued their discussions on wide-ranging issues. Both sides also agreed on a set of mutually workable solutions to enable continued operation of Indian aviation platforms that provide humanitarian and medevac services to the people of Maldives. But local media reports in Maldives quoted President Muizzu saying that India and Maldives have agreed to withdraw the first group of Indian troops deployed in Maldives before March 10, 2024. The reports further added the president's confirmation on discussions with India to finalize the troop withdrawal, stating that personnel from one platform will leave by the specified date and personnel from remaining two platforms will be withdrawn by May 10th.
In some more news from South Asia, India's Home Minister Amit Shah on Monday attended the launch event of the Observer Research Foundation's Foreign Policy Survey 2023 in New Delhi. Minister Shah delivered an address on the theme of security beyond tomorrow, forging India's resilient future. Minister Shah said the government's zero-tolerance policy has been able to weed out left-wing extremism, separatism and terrorism from the country, leading to unprecedented results. A Telangana cadre IS officer, Sanjay Jaju, on Monday assumed charge as the Secretary in the Ministry of Information and Broadcasting. Incumbent INB Secretary Apurva Chandra, who was holding additional charge of health, has been appointed as the country's health secretary. Jaju had earlier served as Additional Secretary in the Department of Defence Production and Director of the National Highways and Infrastructure Development Corporation. And still to come on DD India News Hour. India outplays England in the second test at Visakhapatnam to hand the visitors a 106-run defeat. FIFA unveils 2026 World Cup schedule. Tournament kicks off on 11th June in the US. And Inter Milan takes firm control of Serie A title race by beating Juventus 1-0. You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Ramesh Ramachandran. In Chile, the death toll from raging wildfires has risen to 112, with hundreds more missing. Chilean authorities have introduced a 9 p.m. curfew in the hardest hit areas and sent in the military to help firefighters. Helicopters dumped water to try to douse the flames from the air. Rescuers have been struggling to reach the badly affected areas. The Chilean government has urged people not to travel to the areas hit by the fire. President Gabriel Boric has announced 2 days of national mourning from Monday. He warned that the casualties would rise significantly and that Chile should prepare itself for more bad news. To sports now, India outplayed England in the second test match at Visakhapatnam to hand the visitors a 106-run defeat on Monday, levelling the 5-match series 1-all. Yashasvi Jaiswal, Shubman Gill, Ravichandran Ashwin and Jasprit Bumrah played a role in India's win.
Team India outfoxed England to bounce back in the second test match in Visakhapatnam to level the 5-match series 1-all on Monday. India bowled out England on 292 runs, who were chasing a 399-run target in the second innings. England commenced their chase with aggressive intent, exemplifying their trademark baseball style as Crawley and his teammates continued to find boundaries despite losing wickets along the way. On day 4, England needed 332 runs with Zach Crawley and Rehan Ahmed standing unbeaten at the crease. However, Ashwin's spell brought the hosts back into the game. With Zach Crawley scoring 73 runs, no other English batter was able to go past the 40-run mark. Ravichandran Ashwin and Jasprit Bumrah both picked up 3 wickets each. Jasprit Bumrah was named the man of the match for his overall 9 wickets haul in the test, with his match figures being the second best for an Indian seamer against England. Bumrah's impactful performance included 6 wickets in England's first innings total of 253, pivotal in securing a crucial 143-run lead for India. Shubman Gill laid the foundation for India's comeback with his magnificent 104 on day 3, setting England, who had won the opening test, a challenging target. The match also saw another youngster, Yashasvi Jaiswal, rising through the ranks as the young Indian opener slammed double turn in the first innings, setting up a perfect platform for India. He smashed 209 of 290 balls with the help of 19 fours and 7 sixes and at a strike rate of 72.06. With this win, the 5-match series is now levelled at 1-all, with the third test set to commence from February 15 in Rajkot.
To football now, World Soccer's governing body FIFA unveiled the schedule for the 2026 World Cup at a glittering ceremony in the US city of Miami. The marquee tournament kicks off on 11th June in Mexico City. New Jersey will host the final on the 19th of July.
Winner is New York, New Jersey.
World Soccer's governing body FIFA announced the schedule for the 2026 World Cup. The marquee tournament, which kicks off on June 11, with New Jersey hosting the final on July 19. Mexico City will host the opening match of the tournament on June 11, when the country becomes the first nation to stage the World Cup for a third time.
Muy contento, muy emocionado por la noticia.
Very happy and excited about this news. Obviously, June 11th is going to be a massive party in the country. Just imagine the energy you are going to feel, how our supporters are going to be palpitating with excitement, having their national team host an opening match for the third time in history.
The 48-team World Cup is being co-hosted by the United States, Canada and Mexico. The showpiece event will take place from June 11 to July 19, with Mexico playing the opening fixture. The first match in Canada will be on June 12 in Toronto, while the opening game in the United States will be in Los Angeles. Dallas and Atlanta will host the 2 semi-finals. The 2026 World Cup will feature 104 matches instead of the traditional 64 games. The tournament has been expanded to 48 teams from 32. It means there will be an additional 24 matches, making up a total of 104 games. The tournament will take the format of 12 groups of 4 teams. The top 2 teams will advance to the next stage, along with the 8 best third-place teams. The 16 cities will host the tournament, which will last a record 39 days.
Meanwhile, Arsenal spiced up an already intriguing Premier League title race as it beat lacklustre leaders Liverpool 3-1 to slice the gap to 2 points and move into second spot. Bukayo Saka had given Arsenal an early lead with a cool finish, but a Gabriel own goal on the stroke of half-time undid it. Arsenal deserved the points that lifted it above Manchester City, although it would not have expected a helping hand from Virgil van Dijk and Alisson, whose comic mix-up allowed Gabriel Martinelli to restore its lead. Substitute Leandro Trossard then soothed any late nerves as he secured the victory in stoppage time with a shot through Alisson's legs. Arsenal's third successive win lifted them to second on 49 points to Liverpool's 51, with both clubs having played 23 games. Champions Manchester City have 46 from 21 games. Inter Milan took firm control of the Serie A title race by winning Sunday's highly anticipated clash with Juventus 1-0 and moving 4 points clear of its closest rivals. Simone Inzaghi's side prevailed in a tense but eventful clash at the San Siro thanks to Federico Gatti's own goal 8 minutes before half-time. Inter also has a game in hand at home against Atalanta at the end of the month. It's a big advantage as it heads into a run of tough fixtures featuring its Champions League last 16 tie with Atletico Madrid. India's External Affairs Minister Subramaniam Jaishankar on Monday held talks with Oman's Foreign Minister Badr al-Busaidi. In the talks, both leaders discussed West Asia situation and concerns about the situation in the Red Sea as well. The two leaders also agreed to remain in close touch. And finally, women swept major awards across categories at the Grammys. Taylor Swift made history by winning her 4th Album of the Year for Midnights. Billie Eilish claimed Song of the Year for What Was I Made For, while Miley Cyrus took Record of the Year for Flowers. The Indian artist also dazzled in one of the biggest nights in the world of music. Tabla maestro Zakir Hussain became the first artist from India to win 3 Grammy Awards in a single night. Flautist Rakesh Chaurasia won 2 Grammys. 3 other Indians, Shankar Mahadevan, Selva Ganesh Vinayakram and Ganesh Rajagopalan, also won awards.
Music's biggest night of the year, the 66th Grammy Awards, took place on Monday in California's Los Angeles. The ceremony saw top artists from across the world get together to honor the best in music in 2023. India took the limelight as musicians Shankar Mahadevan and Zakir Hussain's fusion band Shakti bagged the Best Global Music Album Award for the album This Moment. Zakir Hussain also won the Best Global Music Performance for Project Pashto. Indian flautist Rakesh Chaurasia's collaborative album As We Speak also won Best Contemporary Instrumental Album.
Our deepest thanks. Our families are here, and without them, we are nothing. Without love, without music, without harmony, we are nothing.
Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi congratulated the winners with a post on X and said that the accolade is an inspiration for a new generation of artists. The win comes amidst a growing mainstream recognition of Indian classical music.
Ustad Zakir Hussain actually won 3 Grammy Awards in one night and pretty much created history doing that. And Rakesh Chaurasia won 2 Grammy Awards in the same night, which is amazing. It's absolutely amazing, how much Indian music was recognized tonight. Everything at the end of the day trickles down to arts and culture because our visibility all over the world creates a lot of curiosity for our traditions, for our culture, for our music. And that's what we saw today, that, Indian music is pretty much going mainstream all over the world.
As female artists swept major awards across categories, Taylor Swift made Grammy history by winning her 4th Album of the Year award for Midnights, the most by any artist in history.
For me, the award is the work. All I want to do is keep being able to do this. I love it so much. It makes me so happy. It makes me unbelievably blown away that it makes some people happy who voted for this award too.
She also picked up Best Pop Vocal Album. Billie Eilish claimed Song of the Year for What Was I Made For, while Miley Cyrus took Record of the Year for Flowers. R&B and pop singer Victoria Monet took home the Best New Artist Award after 15 years into her career. Rapper Jay-Z was honored with the Dr. Dre Global Impact Award. Winners were chosen by musicians, producers, engineers and others who make up the Recording Academy. Akin to the Golden Globes, the Recording Academy in recent years has worked to diversify its membership by inviting more women and people of colour. Akriti Bhandari for DD India.
And with that, it's a wrap on this edition of DD India News Hour. Let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. You can connect with us on Facebook, X and Instagram. You can also check out our website ddindia.co.in. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I am Ramesh Ramachandran. All of us here in New Delhi, thanks for watching DD India News Hour.